Savannah Arroyo, the Networth Nurse. I love that name. Thank you. Thank you for hopping on, even though you might be a little under the weather. What's going on in LA this morning?
Yeah, no, it's going good. I'm thankful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. I was excited, and my family is all in the medical field except me. So I always love talking to medical professionals and kind of deem myself an honorary pharmacist doctor, kind of jokingly, but always interesting to see the overlap. The episode right before this actually is with a longtime Investor Fuse member, Victor Rybachuk, that went from part-time and full-time nurse to now huge wholesaling operation, a company of 17 people, and next year plans of being 32 people. So just massive operation. It's funny that it's actually two nurses back to back on the show here. But we'd love to hear a little bit about you. Who is Savannah Arroyo? Who is the Networth Nurse? A little bit of a tongue twister there, and kind of what your business looks like right now.
Yeah, totally. So I grew up in Northern California in Sacramento, and I knew really from a young age that I wanted to go into nursing. I just really had a lot of respect for the nursing career, and I felt like there was a lot of flexibility and a lot of different places you could go with it. And so I went really right out of high school into college pursuing my bachelor's in nursing. So then graduated and worked in a couple different specialties in different hospitals. And I was just naturally gravitating towards leadership positions. I was taking on different process improvement initiatives within the hospital and ended up going back to school to get my master's degree in nursing leadership and administration. And then after I got that, I relocated down to Los Angeles, California. Right now, I oversee multiple departments at a hospital here in LA. And I got started in real estate investing the beginning of 2020. I was on maternity leave with my second daughter, and my husband and I were just thinking about our growing family and kind of the time freedom that we didn't have to really just be super involved in our daughter's lives. Like we both worked Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We were grinding during the week, and we just didn't really see it feasible to be able to be involved in like soccer practice after school or swim lessons or different, even when they get sick during the week, like our work schedules just weren't really um, accommodating to that kind of stuff. And so we wanted to think of different ways that we could create multiple streams of income, different ways we could offset our W-2 income to like kind of relieve some of that heavy stress and burden on our full-time jobs. So we looked into investing, and really the only thing we had done up until this point was like put money in our retirement account. And we had, since we both started working, we were putting like 15% of our paychecks towards our retirement accounts. And we were like super congratulated on this. Like, you're doing the right thing. Way to go. 15%. Like, you're going to hit that retirement mark in no time. And it was just like so discouraging to think that we're putting all this money towards our retirement account and we couldn't even touch it until we were 65. Like, it just felt like, okay, well, what are we going to do for the next like 30 years, in terms of investing and stuff? So we looked into real estate for obvious reasons. It's one of the best strategies out there. And at first, we started investing in single family homes. And then, really shortly after, we switched into multifamily syndications. And that's what we're doing right now.
That's awesome. What made you guys switch from single family to multifamily? If you want to touch on that, because a lot of people listening to this are single family doing direct to seller marketing, either wholesaling, fix and flipping for the most part.
Yeah, really just the scalability, the ability to create a business out of what we were doing. I'm a podcast junkie, listening to a bunch of different podcasts, listening to kind of people and how they've grown and scaled their portfolio, increased cash flow, minimized their risk, diversified. And a lot of people said through multifamily. And I didn't think it was really feasible for people to go out and buy apartment complexes. Like, I didn't really think that was a thing until you start learning about how people are doing it through the syndication strategy of people pooling together their resources, people bringing capital to the table, people bringing different skill sets to the table and taking down these big deals together as a team. And that was super appealing to us.
What does your portfolio look like, and where is it mostly, as far as like in the United States?
Yeah, so we have two single family homes over in Atlanta, Georgia, and those are turnkey build to rent projects that are cash flowing. They're really kind of long-term holds. And then we have three apartment complexes up in Oregon, and we're looking to get our fourth one under contract any day now. So that's kind of the different markets that we're at.
That's amazing. I'd love to hear, and I know it's going to be a little chronological as far as starting single family and then getting into syndications for multifamily and stuff, but what made you pick those markets, and how did you kind of get into those deals?
Yeah. So when we first started looking and learning about real estate, we're in Los Angeles, California. So the price to entry is a little high here. And we
Yeah.
didn't have we didn't have a ton of capital to get started. And we were really sold on the Burr method. Like we found out about the Burr method. We're like, cool, we only have a fixed amount of capital. This is the perfect way to get that fixed amount of capital and snowball this portfolio. So for anyone that doesn't know, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows the Burr method, but it's buying a property really, really below market value, needs a lot of work. You're renovating it. So pushing all this equity into the property, renting it out, putting a renter in there. So you start collecting paychecks without a mortgage. And then you're refinancing it to really pull all that capital that you put back in, even on the renovations and everything, pulling it back out so that you can repeat it and keep kind of growing from there with that same fixed amount of capital. So that method was super appealing to us. We were looking at that different strategy. We're looking at Atlanta, Georgia for a few different reasons. We had a bunch of friends in the film industry here in Los Angeles, and it's really grown in Atlanta. Like a lot of stuff shot over there. Like there's huge headquarters, Marvel's over there, like Tyler Perry Studios, Dwayne Johnson, like we just see firsthand how the entertainment industry here is in LA. And so when we've seen and heard that it's transitioning over there, we've started looking in that market, tons of growth over there. And so we were looking for Burr properties. And as we were putting out offers and kind of talking to our realtor about it, we just felt like at a point where it was making us kind of nervous, like way out of our comfort zone. Like we felt like this was going to be pretty risky for our first time dabbling into real estate, overseeing a full renovation with all our capital across the country. And we decided, like, you know, my husband and I work full-time jobs. We have 2 young kids. Like we knew we wanted to do real estate, but we were like, okay, this might be like a little bit outside of our comfort zone. Like we don't feel super comfortable doing this. And so we ended up going with a build to rent project, which ended up being so easy and perfect. And they have cash flowing build to rent projects like really all over the country. But we went with a good builder and got into those without even going over to, we've still yet to be gone to Atlanta, Georgia. So that was super easy. And then after we did those, we're like, okay, what's next? Like we wanted to keep doing deals. So we had to get creative with ways of liquidating capital and tapping into different equity sources in our life. Cause we started on this journey with like no cash sitting in a bank account. So we had to get creative on that. Under the CARES Act, we were able to pull from our retirement account penalty free. So then we used that to invest in a coaching mentorship program to do these multifamily deals. And when we started doing the underwriting and practice the underwriting for these multifamily deals, we were practicing, and we're looking up in Oregon really because I have family up there and we know the market and know the numbers. And so you were using it to practice more than anything. And then we found a really good deal, met a good broker, and ended up doing 3 syndications up there within 6 months because we just created a really great team.
That's awesome. And I guess mainly to sum it up, the reasons that you went to Atlanta and Oregon were somewhat like knowledge of the area / boots on the ground / people that you know / Atlanta had growth just from kind of insider information that you had from the movie industry.
Yeah, so much stuff. I mean, when we're evaluating a market, I mean, we're pretty good on our markets now. We like Reno, Nevada as well. But like when we're looking at it, going on Zillow, you can look at rents, you can look at comps, you can go on Google and literally walk the streets in the area. Zillow will show you like school scores, neighborhood scores, crime rate. We look at appreciation, like what it's done in the last year. Zillow will show you that and what it's projected to do in the next year. So we get a lot of information from different websites that are just crunching numbers on markets across the country. So we get a lot of our information there. Like we'll even hop on Instagram and look at different cities there and kind of like what's going on there. So, I mean, 2021, you can really research a market without ever having to be there. There's the technology in place to be able to know a market before you start investing in it.
Love that. I'm curious to hear how you started the brandings. I think that's everybody, something that everybody could benefit from, not even if they're like raising money for syndications or anything, but just kind of getting their name out there in their local market and like, you know, becoming kind of the go-to person for finding and sourcing discounted real estate, whether it's single family, multifamily, whatever.
Yeah.
How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, definitely. It is so important in the world today, establishing a brand. Even if you don't think you have a brand, whatever you're pushing out on social media is your personal brand, believe it or not. So whatever you're consistently posting, whether it's like working out, food you're eating, like people will start to know you and associate you with certain things. So for us, we did that first syndication deal. We raised 250,000 from it for family and friends, and we tapped out of all the capital in our lives. Like that was it. We're like, okay, where now are we going to get money to do these deals? And so at that point, my husband and I, like, my nursing background, he's a broker for insurance benefits. So we don't have a salesy background. That wasn't really natural for us. And so for us to go out and kind of talk real estate and get people to invest with us, like we didn't really want to be doing that. So we're like, all right, let's partner with a capital raiser. And as we started having those conversations with people, we realized, regardless of even if we do pair with a capital raiser, we will have to establish our investment company, Willow Investment Group, as a brand. It's going to have a name. It's going to have a platform. So if we're going to do that, we might as well just go out and raise our own capital, right? And so we were sitting down thinking about like the best way to do that that's like most genuine to us. And for me, it's my nursing career and being able to kind of like fall back on that of like who I am. And I touched base with like a marketing consultant when I first got started. And she was like, the biggest barrier between people investing money with you is trust. They need to know that they can trust you. So the best way to build trust with the people is to get in front of a camera and start doing YouTube videos. And I was like, oh, hell no, there's no way I'm doing that. Not my thing. And she was like, you got it. So I bit the bullet, started doing them. Just goes to show like none of this stuff comes naturally for people. I don't think, maybe for some people, right? But like it definitely didn't for me, but I understood the benefit. I understood the need. I see, I look on Instagram for everything. If I'm going to a new restaurant, I'm pulling up their thing on Instagram and looking at pictures and videos and their reputation. And so I knew the value of establishing a brand for our real estate business. So looking at different strategies and ways to do that, making it as genuine to yourself as possible, getting out there and just sharing your story. And that's really what I do. Is I built the Networth Nurse. I go on there, I share different things that I'm doing in my real estate career, but then also share what I'm doing as a nurse. Also what I do in my family life with my kids and my husband and that sort of stuff. And it's really the best way to build a personal brand.
Mm-hmm. And that's something everybody can do, is just share whatever genuinely you're doing. Like I'm a little bit sporadic on Instagram, but like I was playing pickup basketball this morning and had a picture of that, and like coffee like on the water in Baltimore. And obviously, I mean, I got this podcast stuff, but like everybody can kind of be genuine. And the two things that you said too that's just beneficial for everybody is, for the Networth Nurse, met with a marketing consultant, and then you paid for coaching in the multifamily, syndication space. So I mean, kind of good steps to take in general is like fast tracking your success and kind of moves to make, especially if you're doing something else full time like nurse.
Yeah, totally. Tapping into different resources like that is so valuable. And it kind of like, people do it for different reasons. Like for the coaching, a lot of people do it for accountability. My husband and I didn't need the accountability. Like we were action takers. We were grinding this out. Like there was no way we needed someone to hold us accountable, but we did do it for like the confidence piece, like having someone with all these years of experience looking over our shoulders, vetting out our deals, looking at our underwriting, giving us tips and suggestions on how to effectively raise capital. That sort of stuff is why we did it. And it gave us the confidence to really start submitting offers on the first deal. Because I think everyone hits that barrier where they're like, okay, cool, real estate, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And then there's that analysis by paralysis by analysis. They're like, don't take that first step. So for us, it was like, cool, this coaching program is going to give us the confidence to start submitting out offers. And we never really we weren't hesitant about it. We just started doing it.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Is there anybody else on your team currently besides you and your husband?
I mean, in terms of like running our apartment complexes, yeah, we have a property manager, our brokers considered our team, giving us our deal flow, all of that kind of stuff for sure. Like our lenders, we have great relationships with, but in terms of like operating the deals, no, it's my husband and I. And we really went through that first syndication deal side by side, learning all aspects of that business together. And then after we did that first syndication deal, we split up the business. And so now my husband does acquisitions and asset management, and I do more investor relations, capital raising, and all the marketing for our business.
That's awesome. And are you able to tap in at all to kind of your, I don't know the legalities around it, but are you able to tap in with like other medical professionals that you work with and like pull from medical professionals across the country?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the whole strategy behind the Networth Nurse, and not even just to tap into capital, but just to share the resources with the medical community is like such a huge passion of mine. I'm doing this
Mhm.
whole complete rebrand of the Networth Nurse and bringing on a couple nurses to like really make it all about financial education, not just apartment complexes, which is what it
Mhm.
kind of has been at this point. But there's just such a gap in education for nurses and healthcare professionals who are making really decent money and don't know where to put it.
Mhm.
So I'm really just striving to like educate and share resources with that community. But definitely in terms of raising money, that's my network of people. So even creating the Networth Nurse brand was with the intention of being able to tap into my community of people for capital. So the legalities of doing it at work, like especially because I'm an administrator there, I oversee operations. So I don't go about it that way. People know what I'm doing in real estate based basically because of the conversations I have. If people are like, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I went to a real estate meetup, or I went and I flew to Oregon to visit some properties, or, like I took a week off to write a book, and they're like, oh, what are you doing? And, oh, are you going anywhere? No, I'm not. I'm like working on this real estate book and whatever. And so when you start kind of just like letting it flow out in different conversations you have, not in a pushy way, it triggers so much curiosity
Mhm.
and interest from people like, oh, what, you're doing real estate? Tell me more about what you're doing, this, that, and the other. And so I've had people that I work with invest with me in my deals just based on that, me not even going out and pushing real estate down their throats. It's really just kind of like naturally comes out in conversations, and they come to me with interest, and then I get
Mhm.
referrals based on that.
Mhm. Just kind of like part of your identity and just
Yeah.
naturally talking about it, it comes about. I would love to hear kind of what your plans are moving forward. I'm curious, like if you ever want to get out of being like a nurse full time and go full time real estate, and then kind of overall your philosophy behind mindset and goal setting and how you've been able to utilize that thus far.
Yeah, totally. All of that really kind of ties into each other. So for sure. So I launched the Networth Nurse November 2020. So I'm coming up on a year. And so for the last year, and even since we started investing in real estate, like my husband and I have been grinding out our full-time jobs and doing real estate at night when we put our daughters to bed. And we've been really systematic about kind of where we want to be. Like when we started on this journey, we sat down, we got super specific on our why. And I know people who listen to podcasts are probably so sick of hearing that, but it
Yeah.
is the starting point and the one thing that'll give you motivation and inspiration in good times and in bad times. So I highly encourage you to sit down and find out your why. It is very different for everyone. It looks completely different. So for my husband and I, it was looking at 5 years down the road, where we want to be, where are we waking up, what are we doing on a day-to-day, what projects are we working on, who are we talking to, like super specific, how much money we need to be making on a monthly basis to make our dreams kind of like be happening in 5 years. Backtrack into like, okay, well, what do we need to be doing at 3 years? What do we need to be doing at 1 year? And then it lets you know, okay, if this is our 1 year goal, like we need to be putting out this many offers, raising this much money. So it gives you a really good blueprint on like what you need to be doing to get to that point. So in terms of like staying motivated, goal setting, like my husband and I are very systematic of like, okay, when we get a deal under contract, we're going on a whiteboard and writing out like the 30 things that we need to do. Because when you get a deal under contract, there's a lot of stuff, legal stuff, property management, insurance, raising money, and investor presentation. So we put it all in a list, put an S by it for my name, Savannah, if I'm working on it, an L for Lupe, my husband, if he's working on it, rolling through that. Let each other work on different things. So we have a lot of systems in place in terms of that. In terms of like kind of the future and where we're going with it, like we're going to keep doing deals. We love doing them. We love giving people the opportunity to invest in these type of deals. I get calls very regularly from nurses or people who are just like, done with active investing. They have Airbnbs, they have long-term rentals, they're done dealing with tenants. They want to take that money and passively invest with someone. They don't want to do any work and still get the great rewards that multifamily has to offer. So there's constantly capital raise that we need to be putting into deals. So we're always looking at that. And in terms of like where the Networth Nurse is going, so for us, like as we've grown the business, we've gotten a lot of traction over the last year. And I've personally hit a tipping point where I am being pulled in 1,000 different directions. And I've kind of hit a point where my stress level has been at an all-time high. And I'm very much a person who like health always comes first. Like I meditate, like taking care of yourself is always first. So I've really had to sit down and be like, okay, something has to give. You know, it's my family, my nursing career, or the real estate business. Those three things are pulling me 1,000 different directions. Like I need to back off on one of those things. And it seems natural for me to be like, okay, well, it has to be real estate, right? Because I'm a full-time nurse. This is what I do. And instinctually you think, okay, I've only been doing real estate for 1.5 to 2 years. That's what I need to back off on. But it took like more diving into it of like what truly makes me happy. And real estate and building my business makes me so happy that I'm going to be backing off my nursing career, which was like a really hard decision. I didn't think I was going to be here as quickly as I was. It was really kind of the goal to get my husband to retire or quit his W-2 before I do. But we've kind of like assessed it. And I'm actually applying for per diem jobs right now to really work for something really just part-time or as needed and work on the real estate business full time. So that's kind of like where I've been lately, and just rebranding the Networth Nurse. I'm rebranding it into Networth Nurse. I'm bringing on 2 nurses with me to build in the company. We're creating courses, a book, coaching programs. We're going to create this whole community. So super stoked about it. I'm so passionate about it. I'm ready to go with it.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's impressive that you've been on a ton of podcasts and are pretty much like still very new relatively in real estate. So you've been awesome. I'm sure you have an amazing mindset to manifest all that. And one of the biggest things, one of the $10,000 per hour tasks I talk about a lot is whether it's meditating or reflecting or deep thinking and really kind of analyzing past experiences, behaviors, what's working, what's not working, and kind of diving in so you can make course adjustments as you're going forward, which it sounds like you've definitely done. I'm excited for you to go part-time because I think that the real estate is really just like snowball compound effect, just about to blow up. If someone wants to check out the Networth Nurse, look at potentially to invest with you, what's the best place to follow you?
Totally. So the Networth Nurse on all social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. My website's the Networth Nurse. I love talking real estate. I love talking. If anything I've said is remotely interesting, please reach out. I'd love to connect.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely reach out. And like I said, I think this is something beneficial that everybody could do, just being like intentional with your brand. Do you have any marketing consultant insight or recommendations? I know that you maybe met with somebody there like locally or a friend or something.
Yeah, really just a friend who's done stuff. I've never gone with like a company type marketing. I know there's a bunch of different programs out there with that kind of stuff. I'm going to hopefully be building a little course about how to like build a brand and do marketing just based on like my experience and the traction that I've gotten over the last year. But no, I haven't, but I know there's a lot of really good ones out there that you could dive into and get into. I think when it comes to that, look for someone who's doing what you want to be doing. So for me, when I was establishing my brand and growing my marketing, I was looking at people on Instagram or Facebook or on social media who had a style that I liked, who were putting out content that I like and stuff that appealed to me personally. And I started kind of just like mimicking that or building my own content in relation to that and connecting with those people directly and being like, oh, hey, I see you're doing this. Like, why? Like, what's your strategy behind that? And hopping on calls with people. And so that was kind of my biggest way of doing it. And then I think the coolest thing about marketing too is like, if you're doing it right, everyone's personality kind of flows through their brand if you make it as genuine and as natural as possible. And so different people to appeal to different people. So that's one of the coolest parts. Reach out to people who are doing what you want to do.
Love it. Well, great episode. I'm excited to see where you go, where the brand goes, courses, everything like that. You've been killing it on the marketing side. And like Savannah said, if there's anything that resonated with you guys, feel free to reach out to her. I guess on Instagram, maybe the best place. I'll follow you on there. I'll make sure to follow you on there as well. And hope you guys enjoyed the episode and have an awesome day.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.